Right, this is a Pfaff 332, and the tensioner is obviously out and needs to be reassembled. Took the main body out to get at the set screw here. So there's a screw behind the panel here, straight down. That set screw goes into this ridge, holds our body in place. This set screw holds the stem. The stem was loose on this tensioner and it needed to be cleaned. So here's the body of this Pfaff 332 tensioner. See, it's got the gap in here for the take-up spring to move through. So we're going to use the top corner, or we're going to use this right-hand side of the gap as our vertical position on this tensioner. And the scale for this tensioner is completely adjustable. So we have to put our take-up spring in, and there is a single pinhole for the tail of the spring to go in. So if you get the spring on the barrel, and then just make sure that our tail is lifted. Oh, come on. I did practice this off camera and it worked just fine. There. Alright. Now, slip that around until it drops into our pinhole. And now stick our stem in, and this is 0 tension, and remember I like to set about 1/3 of a turn of tension for pre-tensioning this take-up spring. This take-up spring is clearly not an original because it doesn't have a very nice end on it, but it seems to be working, so I'm not going to replace it. So I've got this preloaded, and I need to tighten the screw that holds the stem in place. Get our slightly better fitting screwdriver. And now the stem is tight, which when I took this, the reason I took this apart is because the stem was loose here. Then after the spring and the stem are in place, there is this clip. And this clip is a spring clip that pushes in place in a groove here. Snaps into this groove around the edge, and you need to make sure that the main part of the clip here covers the gap, because that protects the, or that keeps the tensioner take-up spring from popping out past the notch here. So with this barrel partially assembled, next we need to put the big release pin in, and there's a square side and a round side on this big release pin. We want the square end to go into the barrel, because the square end So it pushes against the small release pin that we're going to be inserting later as we assemble. So with this much in place, I am going to assemble this onto the machine, and then we will finish assembling the tensioner body on the machine. Right. This part of the tension body is assembled. Put it in place so that our top edge of our take-up spring notch is up, and then I'm gonna actually set this part with the hook in place so that I can check. Yeah, I'm gonna rotate this about like there. That should be a good spot for it. And this is just experimentation, so I'm gonna reach down from behind and get our set screw that holds the body in place tightened. There, now our body is set in place, and we've got our release pin. I'm gonna gently put that in, and you'll observe it was a smooth pin all the way down, so if you put it in the body before you put the body on the machine and you're careless and tip, that little pin will just slip out and fall on the floor. So now it's tension discs. We've got 2 dish-shaped discs, and the center disc is double-sided. And after the tension discs are in place, we get this piece here that has the finger on it. And then this cup is our tension release cup. And into the tension release cup goes our spring assembly. And then we've got a cover here, and this cover has adjustable positioning here for the center bar, and that's because it's got the notch here for the tension stop, and if you want the tension stop to face up for your dial, you can rotate this. So I'm going to put that in place and then carefully loosen these 3 screws. One, two, three, and yes. There, okay, now I got the 3rd screw loose. Rotate for our tick mark to be at the top so that our dial will face up on the stop, and then we can tighten these 3 screws to clamp on the edge of that washer. And now the dial here goes in place, and see it stops at 0 and goes up to 10. And then there's this outer nut that screws right into place. And I've screwed it in until I thought it was starting to tighten. Now the set screw is at 5 on the dial here. So as you're working, or when you assemble this, you assemble it and do your test stitching, and then when you have your test stitching nice and even and the tension where you like it, tighten the set screw and your tensioner is adjusted for the proper tension range. And then with that cleaned and rebuilt, I can finish this machine up. It's otherwise L-style rotary bobbin like the other Pfaffs, but a different tensioner from the other 2 Pfaffs I've recently done.